Sekanti mūsų prezentacija bus Olego. Oleg Pridiuk yra GameOn strateginių partnerysčių komandos narys. Daugelis žaidimų kūrėjų aplinkoje tikrai pažįsta ir yra susidūrę ne viename renginyje. Olegas daugelį metų dirbo Unity atstovų Lietuvoje ir yra skaitęs begalę paskaitų. O šį kartą jisai paskaitys, papasakos, kaip kurti žaidimus, kaip vyksta žaidimų kūrimo virtuvė, kokie jos užkulisiai. Tad kviečiame Olegą.
O, štai mano klikeris. O, ir dar net mikrofonas veikia. Gerai. Tai nežinau, gera ar negera žinia. Tai mano prezentacija vyks anglų kalba dėl dviejų priežasčių. Pirma priežastis. Nesu vietinis, tai nemoku labai gražiai kalbėti lietuviškai. Antra priežastis, kad pati žaidimų kūrimo industrija viskas vyksta anglų kalba. Ir galvoju, kad tai yra gera idėja jums biškį giliau nerti ir susidurti būtent su realia aplinka, kur viskas angliškai. So, okay. I'm indeed going to talk about game dev processes. I'm going to compare working in large teams to working in small teams. Like, what does it mean to be an indie? What does it mean to be a part of the large team? What's the difference? And what's it there for you? Like, how do you start? What's better? But let's make a short intro. I'll see if it works. Where do you point? Magic. No magic. Yes. What was it? Yes. Okay. So that is me. I'm wearing different t-shirt, but otherwise that is me. So indeed, I started in game development like 7 years ago as part of a small startup called Unity Technologies. At that point, that was like a really tiny company. No one knew that, especially here in Lithuania. Now that's the main tool to make games these days for consoles, for desktops, for mobile. So I guess most of the games you guys play are based on that technology. I spoke to Apple people recently. They told at least half of all the stuff on the Apple App Store is made with Unity. And these guys have lots of people here in Vilnius and few people in Kaunas. So this huge, cool technology actually is made in Lithuania to a great part, and you should be proud of that. So I spent 3 years as an engineer at Unity, then 3 years as a traveling engineer, like the guy who travels around and explains why do you use Unity. Back in the days, that was a really like new profession. So my profession used to be called an evangelist. So I used to travel and evangelize. These days, you can see lots of evangelists, like Microsoft evangelist. The guy would talk about Windows Mobile, or sort of say Windows, Microsoft Azure, or Google Android, like why you would use Android. Back in the days, like, that sounded really creepy. So yeah, I'm an evangelist. After Unity, I decided that, okay, now I know what does it mean, like the middleware, like what's the technology behind games. I used to spend lots of time with different game development teams, and I decided that, okay, now I want to be part of one of the teams. This is how I joined Game Inside. Also, back in the days, I used to work with Lithuanian government to actually bring some of the cool game dev companies here to Lithuania. If you've heard that someone moved to Lithuania, that's probably also part of my job. Also, I work on game dev education here in Lithuania. That was quite fun. So if you heard that some university announced game dev course probably on Unity, this is also partly because I kind of evangelized that. And there's going to be more. Also, Lithuanian virtual reality group. I'm not a founder, I'm not a leader, but I'm kind of trying to get that along arranged that together. So the VR corner here is it's led by Ugnus from Unity. He used to be here somewhere. I cannot hear him now. Yeah, so that's also partly me, and probably something else. The important part on this slide, my Twitter username, so you should follow that. Okay, now let's take a step back. Let's take a step back. The live. So, yes, you can see that. Perfect. So this is your life, at least the way your mom tells you to do it. So you go to school, then you attend university, then you get a job. Correct? Kinda correct. At least, I mean, like, your mom cannot be wrong. Next. So when you get a job, you kind of start from the very early level, like apprentice, then you're junior, then you're specialist, then you're kind of a senior guy, and then like something else, whatever comes after senior guy. Maybe you're going to be the CEO, maybe you're going to be, I don't know, someone else. So the important part here is, when do you start playing games? Is it school? Is it university? Or is it when you mature, somewhere in your mid-30s, in your mid-20s? Sorry, I'm like sick today. I thought I was controlling the mouse. No, I was not. Someone else did. Where was I? Oh, so when do you start playing games? At school? Later? When do you start thinking about making your own game? Is it again like early at school? Is it later? When are you mature enough to actually like take a few friends and start, like doing an own game? I guess normally that's like a school, so you play games, and then you think like, okay, so like I'm the only person on the earth who knows how to make this particular game better. And then you can just start mocking up something together. So let's divide like working in game dev professionally, like this is your work, versus making the games as a hobby. So what is work? Work is like you do something, and then at a given period of time, you get like compensation, your salary. So this is the work. Hobby is something that you may or may not get a compensation. However, you love the process so much that you don't care. And you can guess, like, game development as a professional career versus game development as a small indie team working on a dream game. Now, what's the structure here? We almost. Okay, yeah. So every small team has a programmer and an artist, right? So like less technical guy and more technical guy, or maybe a girl. This would be even better. Like we need much more women in game dev. With a larger company, you can say, yeah, this is a programmer. You would say, this is the programmer of logic, of artificial intelligence. This is a scripting guy. This is, engine guy. This is rendering guy. Like, you wouldn't be able to say the programmer. You would be able to say the programmer who implements certain thing, like certain piece of technology. Same with an artist. You couldn't say like, yeah, this is just like an artist. In large production, an artist would focus on something that he or she like would be excellent at. It could be like a 2D part, it could be 3D part, like the modeler, VFX, or something else. Same for designers. You wouldn't be able to say like this is a game designer. It would be user experience designer, user interface designer, level designer, like the concept game designer. So in a large production, each of the many staff, of the many people specialize in one particular thing. In a small production, like 2-3 people, right, maybe 4, there would be like less geeky people and more geeky people, and they would interact with each other. Zero management, like they would just be focused on the process, on the creative process, trying to invent something. And game designer, like Normally, like if the small team has a game designer, that's already good. Normally teams don't have that. Normally teams have less geeky person, more geeky person, and then like kind of do something. No one makes the game interesting. And an extrovert. And this is what my next slide is about. So the previous slide was about making the game. The process of like assembling lots of stuff together, and then the game emerges. This slide is about what happens when the game is actually alive. And then you figure out, okay, so like I shipped my game to Google App Store, like Marketplace, to Apple App Store. What's next? And now it's time to actually promote the game somehow. So you figure out your game has players. This is your community. You have to work with the community. Then, if you actually want to recognize some revenue, probably someone has paid you $1 or $2. And so you have to figure out like the operational legal stuffs and all of that. Someone has to do business, and then you figure out you need a lawyer. Well, because if you made a great game, someone has sued you. Just because, and so on and so forth. So in a small team, there would be a single person doing that, normally. Or like either no one or single person. And that's where the extrovert comes. It can be a programmer, it can be an artist, it can be someone who is good at replying to emails, someone who is proactive, someone who can talk to people. So that would be the guy who actually does code again or does the art and replies to the emails or like is proactive. So I would, extrovert is a good characteristic, but there is a better word, entrepreneur. So the small team has to have the entrepreneur. Otherwise, even if the team delivers a game, the game gets uploaded to the store and then nothing happens. Since the team wouldn't call to community, wouldn't talk to community, wouldn't talk to the platform, wouldn't market the game. So how games are really made, right? Like with all the slides. Basically, large production, lots of people, kind of enterprise kind of environment. So it can be 9 to 5, it can be like fixed work hours. You go to the office, you get a task, you execute the task, and then you leave home. And then, each of the people in the large game dev company, they work on a small piece of that game, and then someone assembles that somehow, and whatever happens, and then the game emerges. In a small company, like 2-3 people, there is a process, like everyone knows what other person is doing, and the game gets born, not emerged, but born. So the whole point of the last 23 minutes was that as a young team, as a very young team, if you're working on a first dream game, sorry, I'm really sick. If you're working on a first dream game, and this is your first job, and you haven't worked with a large production, meaning that you don't know these processes, you don't feel like you would have to figure out all this underwater stone yourself. You will bump onto all the possible errors. You would do all the possible mistakes. However, if you take your first job at a larger company, and even as, say, a junior support professional, a junior artist, like a person who does a really tiny piece of work, you will still know what the rest is doing, like how the art assets are managed, how the game code is committed, what is source repository, what do the managers do, how the game is uploaded, how the game is updated, what's the processes in all these game dev production. So once you spend a year or two at a larger production, then it might be time to actually find few people who actually feel the games the way you feel that. and sit together with them and maybe focus on your dream game and actually release the dream game and be the next success story. So actually, like, making games is hard. That's a hard job. However, it's lots of fun. The fun is that when you see people playing the game that you created, and even if you've made, like, if you were like a small part of the team, it's still like you see people like exploring the game. You see people like if they play the game the way you designed it to play, if they discover the small hidden pieces that you hid in the game. So that's the fun. But however, it takes, like, for large games, it takes years and years to do that. So it can be actually 2-3 years to make a game. For a small team, it can be as well 2-3 years because small teams don't have much resources. Now, what's next? What's next? You've made the first step. You've attended this event. And that's, I think I have the logo. Yes, I do have the logo of GameOn. So that's a good first step, like how in the road to the game industry. The next step would be Game Jam. This pink logo is of the last year's Game Jam. And there were 500 people in Vilnius assembled at the same spot with a single goal: find a partner and make a game. So Game Jam is just the best start. Even if you have just the idea, you can be a designer, you can be an artist, you can be a programmer. You cannot make the game alone. However, you go to the Game Jam, and then you appear on the stage and, you know, really humble with a microphone, like, yeah, so I have this game idea, like, this is what I wanted to do. If someone else, like, feels like joining me, please join me. And then you suddenly figure out that lots of people, okay, maybe not lots of, but like 2-3 people actually are, why I'm talking into the microphone, it's like, okay. You would find out that there are people sharing your idea, and with a day or two, you would make the prototype of that game, and that would be awesome. The orange thingy, that's the hint that we are a school. So lots of you here are young, and the game dev industry is made mostly of the old people with a huge belly and the beard. I have the beard, I don't have the belly, so I'm not like that good yet. Oh yeah. So what do you think? Virtual reality, that's a new thing. That's the new hot thing that no one in the industry can make sense of today. So all these old guys with beards and bellies, they have lots of money, they invest lots of money and time into like making something for VR. However, you are young and you perceive this new thing like when you put something on your face and then something it's cool. You are empowered, you are in much better position to make the next killer title for virtual reality. They are too old, they cannot get it. You are young and you can invent this thing. And that's why I'm visualizing virtual reality. Who knows this like colorful figures? What's that? What's that? You are good. Who else? Who else is good? Who else knows that? Yeah. 2 people, 3 people, 4 people. So this is the logo, yeah. This is the logo of Lithuanian Game Dev Association. They are co-organizers of this event. So there is game dev in Lithuania. There is a huge game dev village, Lithuanian games. Like lots of people work to make games here. So join the LTGDA. You'll know the news. You'll know who is doing what. You'll be able to find your career. Also, like the golden joystick. What's that? What's that? Okay, we have 2 really great people here in the room. But like, what about the else? But then again, now you'll figure out. So there are game dev awards in Lithuania, meaning like there is so much game that you can pick the greatest. And you should follow that. Like Google it out. I mean, you're smart enough. You will find the best games of the last year, and for the next year you might be able to submit your own game. There is a game jam / super duper indie category, meaning like that all the young teams with their first ever game that is really creepy, that contains programmer's art, that maybe you've made at school, you would be able to apply and maybe win something good. So this is your to-do list for the next, I don't know, years or like months, if you're really good. And now it's time for shameless promotion. That's a special slide I call shameless promotion. So as part of Game Inside, we're hiring C++ people. So if you're good at C++, or if you think you're good at C++, come talk to me. Otherwise, I have 7 more seconds and pretty much nothing else to say, so you can clap.
Hello? Oh, okay.
Tape?
Oleg, thanks very much for presentation. Just one short question. What would you advise, like fast advice about education to prepare for working in games industry? What would be your kind of, top tip?
So I have to boast here. I see Ugnus. Just I think last week or maybe week before last week, I mean with these travels I don't remember. We've made an event here in Vilnius about like how to start your career in game dev, and we covered education. 120 something people appeared at this event. I asked like, okay, so like, are you school kids? Only a few hands like up. Okay, are you at university like everyone else? Yay! So the answer to a question would be, I think people have figured that out, or like are trying to figure that out. I know that today in Lithuania, if you want to get into game dev, you pretty much have so much choices. By the description, I would advertise the course at Riomeris University. I cannot say for the quality of that. The program, I love that so much that I invited my sister from Belarus to actually finish school there and attend to Vilnius to this university. So by description, these people are into making CG artists or rendering programmers, depending like if you're better at art or math. So like, it's basically something that industry needs so much. And 2 years in Vilnius, 2 years in Korea. In Vilnius, you do nothing and work like with hands. In Korea, they tell you, okay, so like you painted enough and you did lots of sums on the paper. Now you're able, like, here's the computer to you. So I think that is good. Then Unity Vilnius, that's a miracle globally. That's how HR people at Unity tell that Unity Vilnius office is a miracle, since here in Vilnius, I think they have 15 plus students. Most of the students are hired from Vilnius University, from MIF. So the miracle is that no other office of Unity can make sense of students. However, here in Vilnius, students are so good that Unity can hire them for a C++ position, for like young scripter position. And Kaunas Technology University, that's basically the university that used to be an incubator for everything game dev. So I think Aras and all the other older guys who made the Lithuanian game dev industry like years and years ago, I think they all come from KTU. So again, this is something like as a part. A reason to be proud of, and also an answer to a question. And also a bit of shameless promotion again. VGTU, I guess it's better pronounced like that. They are starting game dev course next season. And knowing people who are working on that, I think it's gonna be super cool. However, here today, like if you have the question, okay, I want to do like something now, After that event that I mentioned, like that we did with Ugnius at Green Garage Challenge in Vilnius, they are starting a game design course. And that's gonna be led by Alina Brazdeikienė, the Ukrainian girl with Lithuanian surname, who doesn't speak Lithuanian because she's from Odessa. And she's a super experienced game designer. So like if you're into that right now, go to Green Garage and basically you'll be stuffed. And also I would promote Solid Education. These are Kaunas guys. Basically what they do, they teach kids do games. They take Flappy Bird or other small and easy to make games and help people make these games. And I hear only positive feedback. So I think like today, if you're into learning how to make games, you have pretty much everything from all the levels, from zero like to university. So basically just Google it up.
Great. Thanks very much, Oleg.